or some of the broader social change social change. Forgive me, it just dropped out of my mouth. From some of the other commercial outlets. Now, my purpose is to share with you the cross-section. The cross-section between social change and politics. Why social change? Well, it's because it is in my DNA. My father was a Black Panther here in Washington, D.C. My mother was socially conscious from the time she was a child, raising a child. And I am of the belief, especially today, 2025, with a new administration in this country, that folks have to understand the cross-section between social change and politics. You see, I've met so many people for so long who have said to me, I don't get involved in politics. I don't do politics. Might be some here today who have said such things. But what I say to people in response is that the fact is that you got yellow lines down the middle of that street. And on some folks, because folks speed down the street, put your children at risk, you got speed bumps on those streets. Yeah, I felt really short just now. Oh, yes, wait a minute. Really showed up. So, we got those speed cameras on our street because it makes it safer for everyone. And you can't afford that asphalt to put that street, that speed camera down there. You can't afford the yellow stripe, that line all the way out of your neighborhood. But together, through taxation, together, that happens. But it doesn't happen just because of your good looks. It happens because some political engine moved to make that happen. And it was a collective of people. And if you know your history, your people did not come out of bondage because of your good looks. Because if that was the case, then you'd have never had that as part of your legacy. But the fact is, it takes a collective of us in order to move into a place of, one of my heroes said this to me today, into a place of power. Yes. Power! Yes. And that's what the shot is. The shot is, I'm not going to give it away. But I will say, as one of my heroes here today, shared with me that they were in Johannesburg, South Africa. And they were teaching this person who is among us right today. And I want people to meet Ryan Hero, at least one of them. But she was teaching what she did here in America to South Africans, a half world away. And that's what I'm hoping that some of you as organizers, and one I just met a couple months ago, but she's an organizer. And she's a proud organizer. And what she does right here in this country, in this city, in the district, what she does here, it's going to be infectious. She's going to teach it somewhere else. So, my name is Perry Ray. I'm the executive director of the organization called Sincere 7. We are in our 26th year. I'm just proud, and we have the opportunity to sponsor this event because I believe in power for my people. So I have a partner who I've worked with in housing. You know, in new housing. But when I saw the inhumanity of DC executing among poor and low income and disadvantaged people, I had to join her in her fight for these people in Southeast D.C. who are basically invisible to our power structure. No longer, because we are now sponsoring the HEART Act, so we want to tell somebody that we got an answer. We have a way to take disempowered people and give them power. So I want to introduce to you a fellow organizer and the person who introduced me to Trey Carswell, Dr. Rhonda Hammond.
Thank you all. It's such an honor to be here. Mr. Ray had mentioned that we've been doing quite a bit of work on the ground, but I want to first and foremost pay homage to why we thought it was important, Mr. Carswell and myself, to host this screening today. Those of you that I'm sure are aware, April 4th, 1968 marks the date that we lost a remarkable human being. There are many words to use, but I know that given present day and looking at all the choices we have, the Lexus car notes and the mortgage payments, we get away from the understanding of what it means to just be a remarkable human being, to actually care for others, to actually see your mortality coming and still run towards what most could not, to still care about the equality, the issues that you know would have you closed down, would have them speak to you any kind of way, would have them regard you as though you're not relevant. Present day, we watch our dear president and supporters of his celebrate the removal of names on tombstones as if that history doesn't exist. The reality that D&I is not necessary, and any other inhumane approach, intentionally harming and being cruel to folks. Well, I want you to know that it was important to me as a mental health advocate, as a lover of people, as an honored servant of justice, as a proud daughter of a military man. See, I happen to believe when we find ourselves in situations such as today, I want to believe as I look back in history that Dr. King must have also found himself in these situations. And I'm nowhere near comparing myself to Dr. King. But what I do understand as human beings, when we strip away all of the materialistic understandings of it all of the fancy titles of it all, the reality is that we could land ourselves in times such as these. And I imagine that Dr. King also felt the way. Because who among us could see your mortality and still choose to serve others? Who among us could recognize that you were placing yourself as a target to lose your life? Such a young man with a beautiful family and a loving wife. He made the sacrifice because it was important enough to him to make certain that we have this opportunity today, to make certain that the Trey Carswells of the world, of the nation, would be able to come forward and put together such a piece of art as The Shot. And so I hope you feel as humbled and honored as I do today on the date that commemorates such a beautiful life in Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I hope you realize that I'd like to believe that God, because I'm a God-fearing woman, when these instances happen, such as they did in Dr. Martin Luther King's time and in our time, that he's pushing society together. We've gotten so divided. And it seems like it takes these acts, these moments in time, that force us to stop and realize who we really are, the shoulders that we really stand on. The reality of being able to do this film today gives me joy. Because as a mental health advocate, I've been on the ground in Washington, D.C., the nation's seat of governance. Who would imagine a governance that runs a budget of approximately $21 billion, and we still haven't managed to get folks off the street. We still have low standards in our living and our governance that will allow families to still be fighting a lot of what Martin that Dr. King fought for, gave his life for, does not still exist. And so I am a proud native Washingtonian. And I'll add to that, I'm a proud Ward 8 native Washingtonian. Why that's important is because we recognize that even understanding Dr. King's plight, when we see the imbalance in governance, when we find out that there is an 81 times wealth gap in the nation's capital, what does that mean? Caucasian families are out earning and building wealth 81 times the average black household. When we watch and we see that there is, out of the 8 wards in the Washington, D.C. area, Ward 7 exceeds the national average for chronic kidney failure by 44%. What does that mean? That means that we have more families that are facing health care disparities and food deserts. Who ever heard of that in 2025? See, it is important that you leave here today understanding that this is entertainment, but it is still reality for so many. And so I thank you all for taking the time to come out, because you could have did anything this evening. And while you're going to hear from some wonderful artists, brilliant CEO and filmmaker, what I want you to realize is that on this day, we lost a beautiful human being. And I ask you, do you realize that there are folks that this is still their reality? And as you look at what present-day politics represents, I want you to understand that your voices, your advocacy, and your empathy is needed. Now, we're getting started a little late, so I'm going to come back on the back end, and I want to talk to you about some of that great work that Mr. Red and I were able to do in order that we could help families cope, help families elevate, help families realize the importance of the equity that must be preserved. Because Dr. King is no longer here, but we are. And so I challenge you to look at this beautiful piece of work through the lens of understanding that we have not overcome. I am Dr. Ron Hamilton. I am honored to meet you all. I will talk to you a little bit more on the back end, but most importantly, I'd like for you to meet the genius.
Yes.
Piece of work. Mr. Trey Carswell, would you come forward? Woo.
Hey.
Are we using the microphone? Do we need a problem?
No, that's fine.
I'll hold on to it for right now. Thank you so much, Thank you so much for everyone who's coming out this evening to watch this amazing, spectacular, director's cut of the shot. Now, I don't know how much Mr. Red or Dr. Hamilton shared with you about the project, but in case they give you all the jewels, and again, thank you, Dr. Red.
What's that?
He's lying. But again, the shot is a story about the South African photographer by the name of Joseph Lowe, who captured one of the most iconic photos in American history, which is the Dr. King's assassination photo. Today, you guys will get to see firsthand some director cuts of the project, and you won't be seeing the actual whole movie, but you'll get to see a couple of scenes that are near and dear to my heart. My cast, they're here today to talk about the project and the role that they played within the project. And again, I hope you guys enjoy it. With nothing else to say, let's get into the shot. We'll start off with the first scene. The first scene I'll be showing to you will be Pamela and Joseph. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I done got all y'all done got all out of script. I'm about to start cracking the rip around here. Look, Jamal got me messed up.
Josie.
Yes, my love.
Hey guys. The movie's beginning. Just wanted you to
course.
see the opening. Catch us at the next
Adios.
screening.
No real reason, it's just, I'm gonna go out.
Yeah. I got how I feel. Come.
Question/statement, based on the things that's transpired in the world today. You know, with the
And I think
laws
it's-
coming out, people speaking of segregation. I think it's really cool that this film was made during this time. Of course, I don't know you or your inner thoughts or the late nights when you were up, thinking of these things and thinking, I'm ready to get this done or get that done, but I think it's phenomenal because the shot was made for this particular time. With everything going on, things that were transpiring in South Africa that I was not privy to at all until, we came as extras, and I found myself like, I'm gonna go Google this because I had no clue.
Right.
Even going back to even just look at the picture that he caught, because you have to understand too, he was going through something. He had developed a relationship with Dr. King as well, but also having the mentality that I got to share this with the world. I have to get this footage. That's what he did. So, how do you think the shot will affect what's going on in the world today?
A great question. And I can sum it up with a few words. It's a famous quote. I'm sure everyone's heard it in this room. My grandmother says to me all the time, but history repeats itself. And if you don't know your history, you probably don't know where you're going in your future. So, so just being aware, and just not letting what has happened in the past skip our generation, skip our mind frames, and just, acknowledge it. That's why I illustrated it through the shot. And so we can be aware of what's going on, so we're not like, oh, where did this come from? This has been going on for many years. So that's pretty much the avenue I came from. I'm gonna let somebody.
I completely agree with that sentiment, and I think this is a film that's very important right now because history does repeat itself. But this was not that long ago, and already a lot of people are forgetting, and bad things that we thought were done, they were never done, are happening again, and it's a reminder that traveling backwards happens, and that we can't let that happen.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I can add to that really. I mean, I agree with both of those. I think the other thing that it kind of reminds me of is, if you think about traveling, you can travel through time, and you can also travel through space. And I think there's, in the same way that we often become blind to what's happened in our past, we can also be blind to what's happening in other parts of the world, which, injustice happens everywhere. And I think it's, keep your eyes open is what I try and remind myself. But not always, easier said than done sometimes.
For sure, it's going on today this time. If you got two eyes and you can see, you know what's going on. This is just a reminder to folks that you can be a change through different methods, different marches, different groups, different just folks coming together, just trying to make a difference, whether that's through film and TV, whether that's from arts, singing, just creative arts. Is anything that's expressive that can come together to make a change. This is a symbol for that, and we can do that. And that goes along with if you a filmmaker, a film director, aspiring actor, actress, producer, anything, you have an idea, go for it, create it, Make it known, because you just never know who you're going to help out. You never know who you're going to inspire. That's what Trey Carswell did with this shot. He did that for us. And we really buckled down and rehearsed to bring a good project and a message to just let people know we here, and we here to help fight the good fight to keep on going. So that's what it did for us in this time. Appreciate it.
And keep in mind, someone came to me before we started tonight and said, there's a protest going on down the street. Now, I want to go down there. And he said, I'll stay here for this. Boy, it was worth it.
Yes.
It was worth it. And I just got to say this, and just feel from your last minute. There's someone here tonight, and they want me to tell them about it like that. This person is one of my life's heroes, and is in the Cooperative Hall of Fame. Black folks don't know about the co-op. Right? And so helping people save their home and control their living arrangement. That person being here in America and then went to South Africa to teach people to do it. Can I just ask this man just for a second? This is my and she went to the ghettos of South Africa, in Soweto, where most would never have went. And we, as those of us who came to be activists, and some of you don't even know what you are, that's where we gotta go, to shoot the terrorists. We gotta go to Lancet the terrorists. We gotta go to the parts where white folk think that we are invisible and then tell our story. That's what Trey Carswell is. See, I look for young men, like that gentleman there with that yellow shirt. Boy, it's a handsome shirt, but it's a more handsome gentleman in it. I believe in him, and he's changing young people's lives. And every now and then I meet another young man, young woman, who wants to do that. That's why I'm looking forward to seeing you do great things. And I want to be a part of it. I want you to be a part of it. Tell somebody. Somebody got a question back here. Yeah, I do. Wait a minute.
Now I want to big up the movie and everybody involved. I think it was a really dope film. So my name is Jerry Hayes. I'm actually a NASA engineer. To put in context, because I'm fighting to make sure that we explore the future and everything that comes with it.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I think is fascinating as I get older is I think whether it's being in love in the present, not having a lot of options, how to light, a cigarette with just I think there's some things about the past and storytelling with filmmakers that I think, to me, is like the greatest tools for activism. Because, even Andy Young, just calling Coretta, he memorized the number. So I think there's a lot of things that I think can help this generation out. I was curious, do you think that trying to create storytelling in the future is a good kind of activism, or do you think going in the past is much more, probably a better tool set for what we need in today's generation? Particularly, I'm pretty much getting at internet and cell phones and how it got away.
I'm an advocate of social media and where technology is going, because you have to change with times. You can't deny it, you can't go against it. But storytelling can happen in every type of formation, whether, as you mentioned, film, music, somebody getting on TikTok, Instagram, and telling their stories. So again, I'm not opposed to where storytelling the transformation of how it's going is going, because again, at the end of the day, a story is a story, and as I mentioned earlier, everyone has one, and I think it's fair for everyone to be able to share that story. And as somebody who loves to hear the story and then put it out into the world, I'm okay with how it's delivered, as long as it's delivered. You know, in ancient times, the storyteller was one of the most, you know, prolific and one of the most respected individuals in the community, in the village, in the town, because again, people, you want to hear stories. Stories gives us the opportunity to dream, believe, be inspired, so on and so on. So how storytelling is taking a different transformation in today's time, again, through Instagram, through all the social media platforms. I'm okay with that, you know, as long as the stories get out, and again, we stick to our morals, we stick to a moral code, and we put out some solid stories. That was a great question.
So many different ways we tell these stories. As a matter of fact, self-promotion here. On 2 days, I'm releasing my 19th album, and then on August 25th, my 20th album. And he's telling a story, at least Code Red is, about what we struggle with in being Black in America. I hear that. It's a question back here. Question back here.
I have a question. I know we're supposed to be answering, but if anybody can take the question. What was your favorite scene that you got to see this evening? And then tell me why. This is for me as a creator. I need that help. My queen in the back.
Yes, my favorite scene was when he said he was going home with his wife.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, this person here, this queen, this is Monique Torres, and she's the newest since his 7th member. And so I'm
My favorite scene was when he remembered the number. Because in my day, my mom said by the time I was 2, I remember everybody's number in the family, okay? Because we didn't have cell phones, and if you didn't write it down, you remember.
Okay, I love that.
So that's what we did back then. People were important to us, we remembered their numbers.
Thank you.
student of history, teacher of history. This is Belinda Taylor. How do you get these programs?
Hello everyone, my name is Jenna Monet. I'm an art director at Paramount BC Plus. I wanted to say, great work, love the film. I can't say that what was my favorite. I really enjoyed it all, but as a viewer, some of the things that really stood out to me was the cinematic feel. It looked dated, the hair, the clothing, the color tones of the movie. It really felt like we were back then, and I was just in awe of that. I think it's great quality, and I'm excited to see the full cut.
And then we got this young man, NASA. What? I remember when I had hair, man.
Seeing it again, I am still very impressed. Please join me in giving the pass a round of applause. I think we can all agree, given present day, that is art actually imitating life. And the scene that resonates with me still is the powerful scene of seeing the brothers, Andrew Young and Jesse Jackson. I think, again, as we fast forward in our lives, that we forget that it wasn't that long ago. And we had some truly powerful, sacrificial beings among us. And we've got to get back to what those circles look like. Who among us is going to come forward? And there has to always be more than one. So I really thank the depiction of seeing the powerful brothers in the scene.
Favorite scene? I saw you looking, you were thinking. What was your favorite scene?
I was captivated by the scene that you mentioned from Martin talking to Loretta. And I like that you added that personal, humanizing touch, like you said, because it does bring to light that you have family to hope is not hope.
Amen. I'm glad you saw that.
Yes, yes. I've got a question. I heard accents in there. I heard accents, some southern drawl accents. Yours look like it's pretty easy, huh? Who was your coach? How long did you study to get that South African accent? You never heard of black South Africans on, with diction like that.
And I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, I'm a southern man for sure. I'm gonna let Mary Rose say, for sure, 'cause she would understand, as we had to learn our South African accent with Asian. I'm gonna let Mary tell you guys, it took us some time, for sure.
Yeah, we had like weekly, I guess, Zoom meetings with the dialect coach.
Once a year.
For almost a year. Just going through like tongue twisters and just saying a bunch of gibberish words in a row, just trying to get like how do you say this consonant. It was a lot of fun though. Yeah.
So Adrian's in Cape Town, South Africa, but Adrian was our dialect coach. He's a really big dialect coach throughout the world, but he was ours. He's from South Africa. He's from Cape Town, so he worked with Mary Rose and I day in, day night. Just for me to come by. Sure.
Was that the opening scene to the movie?
No, that's not the opening scene to the movie. No. It was the opening scene for tonight. But I can't wait till you guys actually, like I said, see the movie in its entirety. But again, Joseph, a young South African man was in love with a South African white woman. But this is during the apartheid time before he comes over to the States to work with one of the most iconic figures ever, which would be Dr. King. And interesting enough, people are always like, how did he get an opportunity to work with Dr. King? We have to understand, during this time, Dr. King wasn't technically the figure who we know him as today, with all the streets and his legacy. During that time, he was a thorn in a lot of people's hand because of what he was doing for the blacks, the poor whites, the poor people in general, and just people who were being treated unfairly. So Dr. King wasn't, again, a superhero during that moment. So it was easy for PBS to say, hey, Joseph, you go take that story over there with the Negro King. So that's how he ended up working with Dr. King.
Well, thank you. We got one more question?
Yes, please.
All right.
I just want to know, have you been to South Africa?
Yes, I spent a lot of time in South
Okay,
Africa.
then tell me, was it easy driving on the other side?
I would say I'm a pretty easy driver.
That was my major challenge in South Africa, was driving and everything on the other side of the car. And
Right, with
that was a major challenge for me.
With the wheel being on the opposite side of the vehicle and the car also from the opposite side, I learned quick, for sure. But from Pretoria to South Africa to, again, just all over South Africa, it was amazing. It was an amazing time. I actually had the opportunity to sit down with Joseph's son, Jacob, because Joseph passed away. If anybody want to know, Joseph passed away in the early 2000s, but his son, he only had one. I can't get into that too much. Yeah, his offspring, Jacob, he's a great individual. He has a wife, 2 kids, and I've had the opportunity to sit down and have food with Jacob and him showing me the actual photos from his dad's catalog and how he's still the heir to his dad's estate. The Dr. King's assassination photo is still to this day one of Getty's Images' most prized photos, along with Ali standing over Joe Frazier, or the Marilyn Monroe as her dress is flying up, or the Kennedy. Some of your most iconic photos in American history. The Dr. King's assassination photo, where his entourage is pointing in the direction, that's today is considered a vault picture. And I'll never forget when I reached out to Getty Images to inquire the photo to use in my project. They were even surprised about them too. I was just thrown off. Like, they were like, oh, we didn't know it was a South African. So it was interesting. So it's been a journey with telling this story through Joseph's perspective.
where folks from Jesse to Raul to Mary to that great afro on
My afro had his own life. Shout out to my hair Lego team. They were amazing. Yo-Yo and Fred. That's the squad. Yes.
We want to ask you to give a round of applause. In America, and I was there, right? Once again, thank you. Thank you. And now,
everybody.
Yes.
Before you guys go, I want to know how do you stay in touch with you all? How do we, follow what you're doing?
Our social media is Moon_Devoted, so that's MOONK, so Moon with the letter K _Devoted, DEVOTED. You will see a lot of our projects to come, what we're working on currently, and what's in the future.
Social media.
Oh yeah, I'm on social media at Mary Rose Cowley, and Mary is spelled like Merry Christmas.
Y'all can find me on social media at George.Juice. It's a whole lot of juice like going on.
George.Juice.
I wish I had a more exciting name now. You can find me as one of Devoted's followers, Laurie Haynes. I'll be in this one. Thank you.
Appreciate everybody.
That was so wonderful. That they deserve really quickly before we get out of here, I want you guys to know that you may not have been fortunate to be here back in before 1968. We certainly were here tonight, April 4th, 2025. So please don't take it lightly. It is important that we embrace our history as it continues to evaporate from the libraries, museums, and other places. We don't like politics, but I know that Dr. Martin Luther King very much understood really quickly, as we saw the housing conditions, the economic conditions, the reality that the living in America was not balanced, it was not fair for many, and he quickly understood that. The churches were the backdrops back then, and so now present day, as we find ourselves dealing with this, we don't necessarily have the same leaders coming forward, right? We don't have the same understanding when we go to worship. There's a mighty thing about the dollar bill that causes people to forget. And we must never let people forget. And so tonight is a moment. I imagine back in '68 when Andrew made that call, that was a moment, right? And so we've got to understand these moments in our lives. We have to realize that even though we're fortunate and we came a long way, the reality is that when things get as dismal as they are present day, we have to always remember three things, and I believe that Dr. King has deposited that into us, and so we must hold ourselves accountable. 3 words: people, power, purpose. Always. People, power, purpose. So even though your living is drastically different, the reality is that we all are descendants of, and we all must hold ourselves accountable, even when there are not churches that are holding us to a certain understanding, requiring that we show up. You saw this film today. Once you learn something, you can't unlearn it. So ignorance is not an option. So I want you to leave here understanding that all these years later, after this wonderful man's legacy, people, power, purpose. It is up to the people to understand that you must do something when you see that all these years later, we still have problems. Right? This is not black or white, this is bigger than that. There were whites, many whites that marched with Dr. King. Yes. There were many whites who stood up and still would. But we have responsibilities.
and I see language floating around social media that says the black person, we should sit out. The black people are sitting out. Absolutely not. You don't get to be American when it's convenient. Black history is American history. Really quickly, guys, I'm Dr. Rhonda Hamilton. It's my intentions to run to become DC's next mayor because as a decade on the ground in matters of mental health, matters of low living, matters of low economics, for many, I realized that our governing is not balanced. There was a great man that walked this city before me, long before me, Marion Barrett. I would imagine that Mr. Barrett recognized whose shoulders he stood on. And so when I saw this film and I realized the work that Trey had put into it, I realized that it was bigger than just entertainment. Guys, please join us in the rebirth of the movement. Please join us in reintroducing your pastors, your co-workers, your neighbors, your friends, your colleagues. We are fortunate to make many different decisions present day because there was a man that came before us. He saw his mortality and he kept moving forward.
Yes.
Please don't sit down on him, and please don't sit down on the movement. 3 things I want you to remember when you leave here. People, power, purpose. Fear is not an option. We have a blueprint. I thank you all for taking time. I would hope that you will continue to follow what's going on in the nation's capital, not because it's politics, because you have an obligation to not let this man's work and his legacy die in vain. We have obligations. People were hungry. So as you leave here and you go back to your living and perhaps the polarization of all the sensationalized politics going on, please, from the mental health advocate, understand the noise is the noise, but the movement must survive. Power, purpose. It is up to the people to never yield their power for the purpose of knowing that you're obligated to pass the baton to who's coming behind you. The movement must never die. I thank you, Trey Carswell. Thank him for this moment in time on this very special day to be blessed to commemorate those that came before us. We stand on some mighty, mighty shoulders. Thank you, dear Queen, for your service. I am the candidate walking the nation's capital, realizing my obligation. Politics may not be for you, but we have responsibilities and everybody can do something. Ron Hamilton, the number 4, DC.com. I will not apologize for understanding that the movement must survive. People, power, purpose. Thank you all.
Folks, as we close tonight, I want you to know that there's work being done right now. And you are needed. You are wanted. All right? Our organization, Sincere 7, we got 5 programs running simultaneously. There's work to be done, and I need soldiers. Right? We got a Stop Wage Theft project that's been ongoing since 2018. Turning over employers who've been stealing wages from poor people, working class people, Latinos, black people. We have a program called the Second Amendment Redefinition and Firearm Abolition Campaign. Oh, sure, we want to stop the violence, but that's not what we're after. Oh, we have a 50-year goal to eliminate guns and the manufacture of them. So our aim is to go after the white men who are making the guns. They're in the hands of our children and killing them. Our third project is housing and dignity, where we're attacking the building conditions and the law that exists to protect black folks, that folks are not applying the law, they're not enforcing it. And we're trying to expose, and we are exposing, all of those lawmakers who have tried to ignore the law. We are forming a nonprofit program where we teach budding and interested folks how to maintain as well as start a nonprofit. I used to give that course, and now James Davis is the facilitator of our forming a nonprofit. James has been with us now 10 years. And so he's also the director of Aquatic Kids. He teaches financial literacy and business owning through fish. That was James's idea. We cultivated it, and now it's the reality. Visit our offices, our new offices, come from New York Avenue. And then our fifth program is Podcasting 101. How to turn that thing in your mind and that thing that you run your mouth about and with into a self-supporting stream of revenue in our communities. Tomorrow there's a rally for Gaza. If you're scared that you're going to be deported by Trump, you don't have to be an immigrant. But you need to be there if you're scared. And you need to speak out every chance you get, no matter what the consequences may bring, because you're on the right side of history for the right reasons at the right time. Those people over there being killed by the bullets are us.
No, you're good.
They are.
I left it down on purpose.
That's the only reason why they're taking their land. And then you've been from D.C., native
Stay
Washington,
protected, know that I
now they
saw.
own any land here, they're coming for it. Just like they do in Gaza. I want to thank you all for coming tonight. The shot by Trey Carswell. The shot by Trey Carswell and Rhonda for D.C., Rhonda Hamilton. I want you to remember that. Since you're 7, I want you to remember. Thank you, folks. Thank you.
Hey everybody, that was wonderful, another screening, guys. We've got work to do. The movement has been reborn. We've got to come together. Alrighty guys, I'm going to make my way out of here. Rhonda Hamilton, the number 4dc.com. We're going to Congress on the 29th. We must come together. We must speak up. When we put the next screening out, you guys are going to need to sign up and get out here. Get from behind these phones. Get from behind these cameras. And let's go. The shot. Coming to another part of DC soon. Talk to you.